Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh yeah, sorry, we were just trying to figure out how to put the audio on.
You got here. Hooray.
Yes, we are here.
Is Margot coming? We
We're
don't
just
know.
well, she's a bit useless with remembering stuff. We've arranged meetings with her multiple times and been
Okay,
left
just
sort of
remember this is going on YouTube. Just
we've
to
been left
remind
hanging.
Okay. Well, I'll do a little introduction. I've got a very bizarre background on, which is meant to have ghosts on it, but I think my son's changed it and it keeps chopping off my ears. So here, like one ear, no ear. I don't know what's going on with it. So if I start if I start looking really weird, then just ignore it. Right, so I'll just do a little introduction for people who are watching. Hello and welcome to Paranormal or What podcast. I'm your host, Michaela Ford, and today I'm very excited to introduce the paranormal team that I'm a part of, The Other Realm. So let's say hello to Kaylee. Say hi.
Hello.
Hello, Evelyn.
Hello.
And hello, Sindel.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. So today we're going to be having a chat about the fact that we went up to my haunted hotel in Chester on Thursday, the 16th of February. And it's just a little bit of a chat about all the things that happened and any evidence that we caught. It was really good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We had a fantastic night at my haunted hotel.
Yeah.
So when we got there, it's a really, if anybody hasn't seen it on YouTube, it's hosted by Danny Moss, who does the haunted hunts, and Harry is the guy who owns the hotel. And then we've got Brett, who does lots of the design and technical side of it. And the three of them encourage people to come and stay in one of the UK's most haunted public houses, which is also a haunted hotel. And people go there every week and they've got 17 cameras filming everything that happens in every room 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And my goodness, is it haunted? And when we went, we had to go into the pub and we sat down and we had a meal, and they have several artifacts in the bar. So maybe we could first start talking about what we made of the haunted artifacts that were around the bar area. Anybody want to start?
So they had two dolls, Willow and Bob. And I actually took a liking to Willow, but I don't know about you guys, but I found Bob to be quite...
Now, see, I was the other way around. I really liked Bob. Oh, we've gone over again. We've just gone over. Hold on.
And so Bob is the clown, isn't it, that was donated to the pub? And then there, Willow. What's the history behind Willow?
So, go on, I'll let you say.
Do we know?
I know Bob's history.
Right, okay. So Willow was supposed to be, I loosely know she's connected to an old gypsy, a travelling gypsy lady, and some sort of spirit is attached to it from those times. All I know is that Willow likes to sing. That's all apparently people hear her singing on occasion.
Wow. And then what is it with Bob, Kaylee?
Oh, so Bob's attachment is possibly a little boy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's what intrigued me about Bob, because I don't know about you guys, but when children are involved, I think it's always a little bit more sinister and spooky.
Yeah.
And so Bob's attachment is supposedly a little boy.
And apparently people do investigations down in the pub area as well when people aren't there, and they get all sorts of things from these two dolls. In fact, we did a bit of a session around Willow, which we'll come to later. So tell me, what did you think of it all when you went in and you went up the stairs? What was going through your head?
To be honest, our first thing that happened actually happened in the pub area.
Oh, what was that?
Shortly after we arrived, Margot, who is unfortunately not with us, she had a hematite ring on, and she clapped, and it shattered. And we've done some research into this and hematite as a material, mineral, and basically, when it absorbs enough negative energy, it shatters. And it just coincidentally happened, about 10 minutes after we arrived to the pub?
Literally just sat down.
And
Wow.
it just intrigued me because my initial thought was, has that much negative energy been absorbed from the pub that within 10 minutes it just exploded off her hand? It was, and Brett tried to snap the biggest part afterwards just to sort of test its strength,
Yeah.
and he couldn't break it, could he?
No.
Wow. So I wonder if that was Bob, because Bob, it was around by Bob's area, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were opposite Bob, yeah.
Yes.
And
Oh,
that
well,
night also the vinegar bottle flew off the shelf where we were sat. But we
Yeah.
didn't see that. We were already upstairs investigating.
right.
So
Yeah, that was one of the big things that happened, wasn't it?
yeah.
I mean, it would take such a lot of energy to move something like a vinegar bottle.
And even Sindel said the fact that it happened right next to where we were all night,
It's a bit eerie.
it was a bit eerie. It was a bit eerie because I mean, we arrived there at like 4 o'clock
Yeah.
and didn't get to go upstairs till 9. So we sat there for a good 5 hours.
Yep.
And then it wasn't long after we left that area that happened.
If only we stayed there for a
I
little bit
know,
longer,
I
guys.
know. Start the investigation at 10.
Well, that's it. Next time, maybe we ought to investigate that area before we start.
Yeah.
Yes. Me and Margot did go back there when the rest of the group were around the other side of the bar area.
Yeah.
And we were hearing what sounded like jars clinking, but they sounded like they were coming from the door that we later found out led to the cellar. And me and
Right.
Margot were quite intrigued to do an investigation there because we heard about the vinegar bottle. And it was just ironic that we were hearing, it wasn't glasses, because you can tell the difference between thin glass and thick glass.
Yeah.
This was thick, like jar glass clinking.
Yeah.
And I wonder, did you get a chance to go into the cellar at all?
We
Yeah.
did. Yes, me, Margot and Evelyn did a vigil down in the cellar. I kept feeling like someone was behind me. It didn't matter which way I turned, I kept feeling like someone was behind me.
Yeah.
Then we got a really strong smell of female perfume.
Oh, wow.
And there was noises coming from the walkway that led back up to the pub.
Yeah. I must say that whenever I've been in there, I felt exactly the same, like there was always someone behind me, and I wasn't sure whether that was just my fear or whether it was that I was picking up on something, because the generator always goes off, and that makes people jump. But I found the scariest thing was constantly feeling like there was someone behind me. Did you notice any jars or anything when you went in? Anywhere?
But funny enough, we actually spoke to Brett, because Brett was the other side of the pub, and he did say that they stored jars and other kinds of heavy glass things down there. So it was quite dark when we went down there, but it was he said that that's where they store that kind of thing. So
that's really interesting, because I wondered whether it might be a noise from now or whether it might be a noise that used to happen down there.
Like a residual type of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
That would be an interesting thing to know.
It'd be cool to document to see if they've got timestamps on everything as well, because that would, if times line up, it's residual.
Yeah.
There's definitely something intelligent there. Whoa.
There is, isn't there? I mean, I tend to be of the opinion that there's all sorts of different sorts of spirits and hauntings there. What do you think? So we went upstairs and they've got 8 rooms, haven't they? 7 of which you can go in.
Yeah.
They've got room 5, which has got loads and loads of dolls in. They've got room 6, which has got a pentagram on the floor. a haunted chest, a haunted boombox, all sorts of bangings on the wall happening there. And then there's room 1.
That's
Is
got
room the wardrobe, yeah,
Yes, that's it with the priest hole.
with the priest hole. And then room 2, which now has a bed in, and we got a lot of activity in there, which we'll come on to later.
Yes, that's the weird drawing on the wall.
Yeah.
Thick man.
Yes. Really scary. Then room 3 is the room with the mirrors on the walls, which sadly you can't see from the CCTV cameras. There's a whole wall of oddly placed mirrors, and then on the other side there's a mirror which is supposed to be a black mirror and a portal, which I got some very spooky photos of. Then we move on to room 4, which is where there was supposedly a sword from a cavalier. Can you tell us, anybody tell us a bit about the history of the sword and the time of the cavalier? You know that it was
I can't remember the date of the sword.
1645, was it,
I believe it was the English Civil War.
That's right, yeah.
I'm not too good on my dates for the English Civil War, but I believe it was the English Civil War.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the Cavalier that it's supposed to belong to. All I know is it was found under the floorboards.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And
With a pair of slippers as well.
that's right, yeah. And it was meant to be quite a common practice to hide shoes or slippers in the walls, wasn't it? For good luck.
Well, the slippers, especially slippers, shoes, it was very common practice for people to bless and protect their house by burying in walls or in the floorboards.
Yeah. And I think some people on a previous episode were doing a K2 session, and they got intelligent responses, and it seemed to be a cavalier called Alexander. And they thought that he'd killed someone when he wasn't supposed to, and then hidden his sword in the floor of the room. I think
that's right.
That's right.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
And then room 6, then room 7 is currently not finished yet, and then room 8.
Funny you should say that though.
Oh yes.
Right. So on the night, you
Hang
know
on,
when
ask her if she remembers first. Michaela,
Yeah.
do you remember when Sindel came back into the bedroom in the morning and said, "Oh, the lady's just come out of room 7 and said goodbye"?
Oh no, I don't remember that.
Don't you? I vividly remember. It was when I was going round getting footage of all of the rooms.
Yeah.
I wanted to go in room 7.
Yeah.
But there was like a curtain drawn, and I weren't sure if we were allowed to go back there. Sindel came in the bedroom when I was in the bedroom and said to me, "I've just seen the lady come out of room 7. She said goodbye, so she's now gone. So if you want to go in room 7 and get some footage, you can go in there." I've grabbed my camera and gone to try and go in there, and it's locked. You can't get in there. She later spoke with Danny, and Danny confirmed there was no one in room 7 that night.
No, and outside room 7, if you peek behind the curtain like I did, there's just loads of like cleaning stuff and stuff around there.
Yeah.
Storage. Now,
Wow.
I swear to God, there was a woman that come out of that door, shut the door behind her, come through the curtains, looked at me, went, "Goodbye," and then just walked down the corridor.
You don't think it was just someone else snooping, do you?
It was an oldish lady,
Oh.
like greyish white hair.
I mean, it could have been someone
It could have been
snooping,
somebody.
but it just stuck out in my mind.
Yeah.
Not at the time. It was when Sindel said to me, we were having a chat about it the other day, and she said, "Oh, by the way, yeah, I've spoken to Danny, and he's confirmed that there was no one in room 7 that night." And I was like, "Well, hang on a minute. You've said you've seen someone coming out of that room.
Yep.
I tried to go in there, it was locked, and now Danny's confirmed
No one was there.
no one was there." And maybe it's just the believer in me, but my instant thought was, I said to you, didn't I?
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't a ghost?
She did. She went, maybe you just saw and actually had like a conversation with an apparition.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean that it's 50-50.
Yeah, it's one of those things we will never actually know, but it's interesting how nobody was staying in
Yeah.
room 7.
Yeah.
Unless it is, there isn't a camera that looks down that bit though, is there?
I don't
No.
believe there's cameras in the hallways. Is
No,
there?
so there's a camera that points the other way of the corridor,
room
not
8,
down the
yeah.
long. Yeah,
Right.
And that's the one where they caught the apparition through the window in the last episode, wasn't it?
that's it.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow. So right now, room 8. Tell us what's in room 8 for the people who are watching, and what happened to you in there?
Well,
Not good.
obviously that's where the Grace doll is kept, and Grace is supposed to be possessed by a witch from the 1960s, 1600s, and her name's supposedly Jeanette. So I went in with Evelyn and Margot, and you couldn't stay in there, could you?
No, when I first went in there, I was okay. But I sat on that chair that was in the corner. And as soon as I sat on that chair, I just didn't feel right. I wasn't physically poorly, I just felt unsafe. So I just said to the girls, I've got to go, and I left the room. It was when I sat in that chair.
That's really sensible though, because I think Danny was saying later that there are a lot of people who just stay there regardless and end up feeling really ill. So it's really sensible if you feel weird to go out. And then Kaylee, I think you got some really good footage, didn't you?
Yes. So I decided to do a live on the page in room 8, and ever since I walked through the door, like I felt this heaviness. It was definitely a change in atmosphere when we went in there, and we were in there for about 10 minutes, and apart from the heaviness, we weren't really getting anything. And I just said to Jeanette / Grace, if you'd like us to leave, can you shake the chains that are keeping her enclosed in her box? And through the glass, I saw the chain that was hanging down the other side start moving. And now it was only slight, but it was moving. And I filmed that for about 10 minutes and it didn't slow its speed. It was a constant swing the whole time. I felt like it was Jeanette doing what I asked and shaking the chains.
Yeah. It's a really a terrifying thought, really, that there could be really evil entities trapped in that box.
Yeah.
So what I mean, the thing is that I know that Harry and Brett and Danny are absolutely convinced that those entities don't go outside the room, but we did have things mentioned throughout the night, didn't we? What do you reckon's going on there?
I don't think you can trap a
No.
spirit or entity to a certain area of a room, no matter how much witchcraft you give it yourself, especially if she is as evil and the attachments are slightly demonic. They're going to go where they want.
Yeah.
And frighten the other spirits that are there.
Yeah.
There was definitely a change though. I definitely felt a change when you come in and out of that room. Maybe it was just because her presence is stronger in that room.
Yeah.
But as soon as I walked in there, the only way I can describe it is an oppressive feeling. It was like someone was standing on my shoulders.
And you actually said to me when you come out, you said that room doesn't even feel like it's part of the hotel. You feel like you're in another dimension.
You do.
Yeah.
Well, as you said, quite rightly said, I remember saying that to you.
You
I felt like when I was in that room, I didn't feel like I was in the hotel anymore.
Yeah.
It really did feel like you literally entered another building. It was that different in there.
Yeah, I felt the same. I mean, when I went in, I was shaking, but I don't know whether that was me shaking in anticipation because I'd built it all up in my head, because after a few minutes I felt a bit better, and I just kind of made myself feel a bit better by asking questions the whole time. And I felt like that calmed me down a bit. But nothing really happened while we were in there, did it, Sindel?
Well, you say that, but I've just been listening to my EVPs and I need to clear it up a bit. But I think I might have caught something
Oh, really?
of when I asked her to tap on the glass, you hear 2 thuds, and
Yeah.
then you hear Jeanette's voice going, I tap or something.
Really?
But
Oh,
I need to
wow.
clear it up. I need to clear it up and I need to get Kay's idea on it. But I'm pretty sure, because I said to you the other night, didn't I?
She told me she caught something on the EVP. You didn't tell me that though.
No, I'm pretty sure that's, and I'll have a look at it when I get home later on, and I'm going to upload it onto.
Yeah, best thing to do is upload it,
So you can
stick it
hear
on
it.
the OneDrive, then we can all listen to it.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
interesting. If that does say that, then that's really cool.
Hold on. Carry on. Let me just look
Right.
for something.
So
I've got it with me.
well, maybe Kaylee, you can tell us a bit about what went on in room 2, because we did a session on the Paracast, didn't we?
We did, yes. So that was really interesting. And I think actually I'm glad you've sort of come back to this conversation because well, it was kind of centered around you, wasn't it? And we went into room 2, Danny set up the Paracast for us. For the first sort of 5 minutes we didn't get much, and then all of a sudden a number of us heard behind you, and I think you freaked out a little bit, Sindel.
I was laying on the bed chilling.
Yeah, she was laying on the bed, and she freaked out a little bit, and instantly looked behind her, and was obviously visibly sort of shaken. But then the next bit,
When you asked.
yeah, because you asked, you said
Behind
behind
who?
who,
Behind who? Yeah, that's it.
and it quite clearly
Clearly.
said Sindel.
Yeah.
And what's amazing about that is Sindel is not a common name
Yeah.
that just gets spit out of any kind of paranormal device like that. It's not.
Yeah. I have to say it was really atmospheric in there. I really felt the hair standing up on the back of my neck. And I was quite sad when Brett came through and said it was time to turn it off, because I was really up for doing it for ages and ages and ages. And I was thinking, oh, if Danny ever manufactures these, I'm going to get one, because I really enjoy listening to the Paracast, actually. It's really good. So what other experiences do people have? Evelyn, what do you think was your favourite bit of the night? Have you got a favourite bit?
Yeah. Even though I didn't like it in there, it was definitely going in room 8. Definitely.
Yeah. So it just.
Me and my sister Margot stayed in room 5.
Yes.
And during the night we did hear knocks on the walls. But other than that, it was definitely in room 8. I think that made the night for me, actually.
Yeah.
And you left before the chain even moved.
I know, and I even left before the chain moved.
Saying that though, Michaela, you had an experience when we woke up in the morning, didn't you?
Well, I don't know if that's paranormal or me just being mad. So I woke up, I think it was 8:40, and Sindel, you were kind of busying around because you'd been awake for ages and sorting out your case and things. And I sort of became aware that you were there, and I don't think I'd actually said anything at that point. And as I was laid there, I heard right next to my left ear. So I was laid in the little single bed in room 6. So on the right hand side was the wall, and the left hand side of me was the room. And Sindel was kind of at about 10 o'clock to me.
Yeah.
And as clear as day, in a really, really deep voice, a man said, "Hello." But it was right next to my ear.
Whoa.
And I just shot up in the bed and said, "Who said that?"
Yes, I remember you doing that. Yeah.
And Sindel went, "What?" And I went, "Did you just say hello?" And even though I knew it wasn't Sindel's voice, I went, "No." And that was really freaky, because I'll tell you why it was really freaky. Is because I did, and this is what makes me worry a bit. I didn't hear it with my external ear. I heard it in my head, but it wasn't, you know, when you're thinking to yourself and there's that kind of, I don't know if you'd call it a voice, your thoughts are in your head. It was an external voice, but it was in my head, as if my head was being used like a radio receiver.
Yeah.
And I've had one more episode of that a few months ago, where I was stood in my bedroom at home, minding my own business, putting some washing away, and a woman's voice this time, inside my head, became static like a radio. And then someone went, hello? And I sort of stopped and looked around and went, hello? And it was as clear as day, but it felt like it had been transmitted to inside my head. I don't know how to explain it, rather than hearing it externally through my ear. And I've never experienced anything again since, except for that man's voice saying hello at my haunted hotel. So I don't know what it is. If I'm hearing something, I mean, it sounds wild, but the first thing that pops into my head is all these stories about aliens telepathically talking to you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
There is
Michaela,
that.
come on.
I love
Sort
it.
yourself out, sort yourself out. But it did, it felt like somebody was transmitting a voice into my head. It was really bizarre. So if anybody who's listening has had a similar experience, please either contact me at paranormalorwhatpodcast@outlook.com, or contact The Other Realm and see if you can tell us your story. So right, let's move on to the next thing. What should we talk about next? What about room 5? What sort of things did you experience or not in room 5?
So room 5, we weren't obviously in there for very long. We didn't get much on the Ouija board, but I think we had some voices come through on the spirit box, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you and Sindel thought it was a little boy.
Yeah, Bobby, was it Bobby?
Billy.
Billy, that's
Billy.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
But it came through 2 or 3 times, and actually it was the same voice each time.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure the first one did say Billy or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we've still got to review it,
Yeah.
but I'll most definitely review that, and be really interesting to see if he did actually say Billy, because that, if it did, that's really quite compelling.
Yeah.
Like, that is.
Yeah. I was hoping for maybe the doll to move, but she remained stoically static. Or the big banging on the wall that we sometimes get, that we got last time, but
We did have something come from the bathroom, didn't we? Do you remember?
Oh yes, there was.
Yes,
we
we
had a
did.
bang come from the bathroom.
Yeah. So we'll have to see if we can put some of the EVP stuff onto the Facebook page.
Yeah.
See if
for
I can
sure.
isolate it, because I recorded the whole time, which is good because you get everything, but it's bad because you end up with 8 hours of EVP stuff to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It'll be interesting to see what we got on our camera overnight as well, because we left ours running, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously they died at some point in the night, both of them did.
Yeah, because I left mine running.
Yeah, so, but hoping that they were running for at least a good few hours.
Yeah.
So I'll be really interested to see, what, if anything happened when we were asleep, because that would be pretty amazing.
Really good. Oh, and Sindel, you debunked the Danny's truck moving immediately, didn't you? Tell us about that.
Much to his displeasure, yeah. It all depends on the floorboards. I mean, it's an old building, and these floorboards move. You could have somebody walking up to that counter 5-6 times and that truck not move. But if you know the footsteps that he took, which I then reenacted, oh, what happens? Ooh, straight off. So it's one of those, you just got to go careful when you investigate in an old house. Not every creak and bang is going to be paranormal.
Yeah. Although there's always a little bit of sadness, isn't there, in your heart when you
When you
debunk something.
Yeah, of course not.
"Oh."
That's the name of the game. If everything was paranormal, then
Yeah, it's like at Doll's House when Margot said, "Oh, I've got the I had the device going off while you were asking for it on the Ouija board." And then when I did the footage review, it was actually just beeping to say the battery was low.
yeah.
And it was kind of like that heartbreaking moment where I realized, I was like, oh, I thought that was going to be some pretty amazing evidence because we're asking for it and it's happening.
Yeah.
But no.
Oh. So then what else happened when we were in room 6? My mind's gone a bit blank now. We had lots of REM pods out, didn't we?
Yeah.
And they did go up.
The cat ball kept going off.
Yeah, we had a few things on the devices, not a great deal.
No.
And we tried a Ouija board session in there, but it was very slow going and sort of gave us like 1-letter answers. And in the end, we just we shut it down because, I mean, if we were going to get a full-on conversation, we'd have to been there for another 8 hours.
Just to get one word.
Yeah, literally, yeah. So yeah, we shut that down pretty soon. So I'd probably say on the night, room 6 was possibly the least active for me.
Yeah, me too. I think room 8 and room 2 were the 2 rooms for me that night.
I'm gonna agree with you there because when I was trying to think out my favourite moment from the night, obviously room 8 and the chain were the first thing I was thinking of. But then I also sat there and thought, Sindell's name coming through that power box. I mean, that was pretty awesome as well. So yeah, room 2 and room 8 for me.
And me.
And then we did a bit of an investigation downstairs, which was kind of successful and not successful all at the same time, because clearly you and Margot were getting a lot of noise pollution from our big group on the other side.
Poor Danny and Brett and Harry probably cussing at me, but yes, I was moaning that we were getting a lot of noise pollution, which was very unfortunate.
It's hard though, isn't it, when you're all in one room basically?
Yes, it's you know, you're trying to listen out for things and all you can hear is other people talking, and completely contaminating any potential sounds that we might hear. So you know, it was a bit frustrating, but you know, they were kind of this side of us and that clinking was coming from this side of us. So we knew that was definitely over there and it wasn't getting contaminated, but apart from that, whilst we were in that area, we didn't get much else.
I mean, we were with quite a big group around the other side, and I think people were getting very excited because there was quite a lot of knocking and banging going on, and it seemed to be answering what I was asking, and giving knocks on the bar in return. And it was also banging a door in the toilets as well. And I think,
really?
there
was a few bangs.
There was a lot of things going on. I think
wow.
The difficulty is when you've got a public group of people, you can't really go, shut up, because
I don't know, someone can.
As much as you want to.
The thing is that I was asking these questions, Sindel was, Brett was, and then the other people obviously are very excited. And so instead of being silent to hear what's going to happen after, they're all going, ooh. And you're like, and you just want to go, I know you're excited, but shut up. I want to hear what's going on.
Well, it was the same in the when we were in the brothel and we done another paracast, didn't we? And we got the name Rebecca through, and then we got the other name through. All of us missed that last name. Like the seasoned investigators missed that second name because everyone was like, oh, Rebecca, and it was like, couldn't hear that last name until watching it back.
And then I think it was me and some other person as well on the Facebook feed on my haunted hotel went, did it say Orobas?
Orobus,
And
yeah.
I heard it when I watched the program, I heard it as clear as day say that.
Same here.
But then again, you don't know is it another spirit messing about, you know. So if Danny thinks that
It's
it
ironic.
can't be that, is it another spirit that's kind of taking the mickey and going, oh, it's me, I'm the demon or whatever? You don't know, do you?
Be. But that's one of the demons that is supposed to be supposedly attached to Jeanette. So who knows?
Well, that's what I mean. So was it
Yeah.
really that? But if Danny and the guys really think it wasn't, then could it be someone taking the mickey? Because spirits are known for being jokers sometimes.
Spirits like a prank just as much as us humans.
Yeah, I'd be interested in. I keep meaning to look into the name Rebecca because Jeanette's meant to be a witch, and I'm sure there's a famous. I don't know if it was the Pendle witches. There was one called Sarah, but I thought there was one called Rebecca. So I keep meaning to look into that. I'll have to have a look into it, because when it came through with Rebecca, it really, you know, when something jogs your memory, but you can't quite think what it is. So I need to have a look into that. So what else was there? What else did we
Can you think of anything else?
do?
I think the brothel was our last investigation, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when we closed down for the night. Well,
Yeah.
It always surprises me how early people go to bed there, because I always think, come on, you know, we've paid for this. Let's stay
Yeah,
up all
no,
night.
but we didn't.
Yeah, 'cause we stayed up. We stayed up and did a
Yeah.
little bit more investigating in room 6. But because we weren't getting much in room 6, and then everyone had gone to bed, so we couldn't really go anywhere
wandering.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's when about 3:30 we decided to go to bed as well. But
I think it was more along 4 o'clock actually, because
it was
Yeah.
3:30. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
3:30. But yeah, otherwise, you know, like you said, Michaela, I would have happily stayed up all night and then just slept in the car on the way home.
they would have done an all-nighter.
I would have, yeah, definitely. But you know, like I said, you can't just go walking in other people's rooms because they're sleeping.
Yeah. So I've just had a message from Margot saying she can't get the Zoom to work.
That's all right. Well, you
maybe
snooze, you
next
lose.
time. So if you were going to go back again, which I hope we do, could I ask all three of you what you would like to focus on next time, or see more of, or try more of?
Yes, actually, me and Sindel have already been discussing this. Actually, next time we would like to hire it out privately, simply because
Noise pollution.
yeah, noise pollution. I think we could have got a lot more evidence had there not been so much contamination, because the problem we have when we're going through a review, which we're going to start next week, is a lot of the bangs that we hear, we're not going to know unless they're really loud and you can tell that they were in that room. We're not going to know if them bangs are paranormal or if they're contamination from the people in the other rooms. So I would definitely like to hire it out privately and have an investigation plan where we can separate different groups so that there won't be no noise contamination.
Yeah. And Evelyn, what room would you really like to investigate?
Yeah, I need to focus on going back in room 8 because I want to be able to go in there and stay in there and leave when I want to leave.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. And Sindel, what about you?
Weirdly, I want to focus on room 4 because I think there's a story to the sword and the woman that was connected to the doll's house over the road.
Yeah.
I think there's something about that.
Oh yes. So what was that story that we heard about the woman having an affair with the man across the road or something?
So it was supposed to be the wife of the man who was living there, husband and wife. The woman had an affair with the guy across the road. The husband found out, dragged his butt out of the shop, the doll's shop,
Delectable, yeah.
That's it, Delectable. And apparently killed him in the street with her watching out of a window.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yes, so that would be interesting. Is there a story to that?
Yeah, I'm really fascinated with the corridor, actually.
Are you?
It was again, obviously, I know that Harry and Danny and Brett want to get as many people there as possible investigating. But again, it's a double-edged sword, because the more people you have investigating, the harder it is to figure out what's going on and what noise was made by who. And as they've been saying on the programme the last couple of weeks, that they spend hours and hours and hours trying to debunk people. I think there was one this last week where a man pushed the rocking chair against the wall of room 6, and the people in room 5 went, "Oh, there was a bang," and then they showed back that it was actually the man pushing the rocking chair against the wall. So I think if the fewer people you have in there, the easier it's going to be. And the first time we were there, I think the second time was too busy. But the first time we were there, there was so much activity in the corridor. And I was going a bit crazy, actually, because I kept hearing someone walking up and down the corridor in heavy boots. And they would stop outside the door, and you could hear the weight of their body on the floorboards, you know, the creaking of the floorboards.
Yeah.
And so I would go, "Sit down, somebody's outside again." And I'd rush and fling the door open, and then there was nobody there. And then I'd close the door again, and then I'd hear it a little bit later, and I'd go to the door again and open the door, nobody there. Then we were in room 5 the first time. Somebody knocked on the door. I ran to the door, opened the door, nobody there. There's something about that corridor, and I really would love to do more of an investigation there. But that's really hard when people are trooping around the whole time. So I don't know how you'd be able to do it properly, really.
Well, like we said, I think it's definitely worth us looking into hiring it out privately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I would really like to do that. Yeah.
So that brings us on to, is there any, so our group is called The Other Realm, and we do investigations. Is there anything that you'd like to tell the public that's coming up soon that they might want to know about, or to look at the Facebook page to find out about?
Well, we've got episode 2, The Doll's House, dropping next Sunday. So they can either give us a follow on our Facebook group, or they can give our YouTube channel a watch.
Fantastic. And
so episodes will be dropping. So every other week there'll be a teaser, and then every 2 weeks after that there'll be an episode. So we're calling it Spooky Sundays. So every other Sunday there will be something on our YouTube channel.
Brilliant. And if people want to find you, they can find you on Facebook. Anywhere else?
Instagram.
We're on Instagram. Yep, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and the YouTube channel. Yep.
All right, brilliant. So I think before we go, I just want to pick your brains about what your favourite sorts of paranormal equipment are. So if you could all, I know I'm just putting you all on the spot here, have a think about your favourite piece of paranormal equipment, and tell me why you like it, and any particular reasons.
Ooh, that's a difficult
That
one.
is
It is,
hard.
isn't it? It's hard.
I like all my pieces of equipment.
Oh, you can say more than one then.
I know instantly what mine is.
What's yours?
The spirit box.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Honestly, I love the spirit box because I don't think there's no better evidence than hearing their voices, and even in like what it sounds like, because the EVP sometimes can be very sort of whispery. So you're hearing a voice and you can a lot of the time hear what it's saying, but it's very, I find it very whispery. Whereas the spirit box, you can tell if it's male, female, if it's
got
young.
tone.
Yeah, it's got tone.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the spirit box.
Mine has to be voice recorders of any type, I think, just because it's so old school, and you can play it back, see what you've missed. You know, they're called EVPs and DVPs for a reason.
And the crazy thing about them, this is what I love about the EVP, is you can't hear them voices with your ears, yet this little
Exactly.
device picks them up, and it's yeah,
Mind
fair,
blowing.
Spirit Box and EVP for me.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. Yeah.
I do like my
Evelyn?
doll. She's beautiful.
Oh, her
Yeah.
Rem doll.
My Rem doll. Yeah, I've got a Rem doll. She's lovely.
Oh yeah, it's almost like a signature of the other realm. They've got all these beautiful Rem dolls, so they look like beautiful old-fashioned dolls, and then secretly inside they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
ghosts and equipment. Right, well, I'm going to stop recording in a second, but stay on the line, and I'm just going to say thank you very much to the other realm, Kaylee, Evelyn and Sindel, for being on the podcast today, and we look forward to having you on again after the next investigation, where we can chat about what happens there. So maybe we could make this a regular spot, which would be great.
Very happy to do
Definitely.
that. Yep, definitely.
Okay, so for now, I'm going to say goodbye, the other realm.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.